Hello, hello. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. I'm Lexi Eve, and, today's a little special. It's Christmas, and I'm reading about the crown from Liber ABA, Book 4. I think it's kind of fitting. In Christian mythology, the king was born today, right after post-winter solstice. And I'm not gonna make jokes about Christianity or anything like that. As a Kabbalist, Pentagrammaton is simply Tetragrammaton with the shin placed in the center. So what the Christians fail to realize today is that every person is Yahashua under the Kabbalistic formula. Everybody has the four traditional elements and spirit, right? So everybody's composed of those same things. It's only coming to realize it. And I don't want to say just realize it, you could know something, but more or less actualize it, have experienced that thing. So with no further ado, let's go into this talk about the crown. The crown chakra and Kether have always fascinated me. They are both connected to the top of the skull, but are also spheres seen above the body, not touching the person at all. They are also the highest, not just on the body, but in terms of initiation, be that Kabbalah, occult, or yogic based. They have a mystery about them that transcends all and borders on the void of nothingness. There are numerous and personalized crowns, specific ones for women or even gender-neutral versions, but I'm not going to get into any of those examples. To start, Crowley describes a very specific crown for Thelemic magicians. Thus, quote, "The crown of the magician represents the attainment of his work. It is a band of pure gold, on the front of which stands 3 pentagrams, and on the back a hexagram. The central pentagram contains a diamond or a great opal. The other 3 symbols contain the Tau. Around the crown is twined the golden Uraeus serpent, with erect head and expanded hood. Under the crown is a crimson cap of maintenance, which falls to the shoulders." End quote. This is the crown I will be talking about proceeding. Already, just in that brief description, there is a lot of symbolism. The serpent is significant of the Kundalini force. Think of it as the serpents entwined around the wand and the caduceus that rise upwards. These serpents represent the polarities on the poles of the tree of life, the active and passive, male and female, Ida and Pingala. Being that this serpent is on the top of the head, it's the union of those forces in the Sushumna coming to create the lotus above the head. So nestled upon there. It's also the snake of the third eye. At the third eye, when it's functional and opened, a beam of light extends out of the third eye, anywhere from 6 inches to a foot or more. And so there's another serpentesque symbolism connected right to the third eye, the ajna, in that it protrudes out of the forehead like a serpent. The serpent force is the kundalini, which spirals upward, up through the chakra from the base to the crown, entwined about the middle pillar on the tree of life. The opal in the central pentagram would represent Mercury, for opal is attributed to Chakma and the path of Beth, both of which have strong mercurial influence, appropriate for the magician to wear. If a diamond is used, that is more obviously because of Kether and the magician as a worshipper of the highest. The Uraeus serpent, his hood is flared, ready to spray poison and attack. And that it is approximately on the brow of the magician, I suspect this is to indicate the poison of the serpent being Amrit, the vital fluid secreted by the Ajna chakra to create the elixir of life. Also in the Book of the Law, there are many passages that refer to the snake getting ready to attack, for instance. "Raise the coiled splendor within you, come unto me. Quick as a trodden serpent, turn and strike, be thou yet deadlier than he," etc., etc. To continue now, quote, "The crimson cap implies concealment, and is also symbolic of the flood of glory that pours upon the magician from above. It is of velvet for the softness of that divine kiss, and crimson, for that is the very blood of God which is its life." End quote. The red cap of maintenance, I suspect, indicates Hadid, as if seen from above, would have the appearance of a circle. Also, red generally indicates Mars, the 5th sphere. 5 indicating the pentagram and the 5 elements, but Gabor is also the sphere of magic in many senses. Hadid is the hidden god. Nui, quote, shall be known, but he never, end quote, as he says in the second chapter of El. God, the highest, as such, can never be known, but is ever present, and this can be understood by studying the mysteries of the Tao. The description of this particular crown calls for 3 pentagrams on the front and a hexagram on the back. I thought long about why there are 3 pentagrams, and I came up with the following, and though it is only speculation, I think it makes sense and is plausible. The center pentagram is raised just above the brow line. It indicates Kether, as the other 2, placed approximately on the temples, then represent Bina and Chakma. There are 15 points on the 3 pentagrams and another 6 on the hexagram, equaling 21. 21 is the numerical value of Eheia, I am, the title of Kether. As I said, these are my speculations, and I'll read a quote in a moment from Crowley that explains further. Now, there is the Tao in the 2 pentagrams without the diamond or opal, and a third Tao in the hexagram. This indicates and reinforces that the idea of Kether is in Malkuth, as above, so below, as within, so without, etc. The crown is made of gold, for it then signifies solar radiance. Also, it makes me think of any saints that you see in religious iconography. They have that golden halo around them, an aura, so it could represent a halo of sorts too, angelic in a sense. The next paragraph in this chapter informs the reader that sometimes, quote, the Atef crown of Thoth is worn, end quote. Again, this is mercurial for the magician, and I'm not going to go into that, or there's a third crown that's sometimes recommended, but I've never seen anybody use either of them. You can read the chapter yourself if you want a little explanation on those. Of the serpent on the crown, Crowley also writes, the serpent, well, quote, the serpent is also he who poisons. It is that force which destroys the manifested universe, end quote. This again is very related to Chakma, the sphere of the Magus, for this is where one will either destroy the Maya or succumb to its snares. In Liber Aleph there are several chapters about poison. I speak about this in my video on sex magic. Poison is anything that a magician has an aversion to, thus they should conquer their fear by minimal exposure, ever increasing the dose of their poison until such a point comes when they are no longer harmed by it, therefore fulfilling the verse in El chapter 1, quote, by nothing, that there be no difference made among you between any one thing or any other thing, end quote. The crowned magician should have worked on such things or be in the process of going through them. So this was our lecture on the crown. It was a shorter one than regular, but it's a short chapter. So happy holidays to you. I hope to get another 1, maybe even 2 videos in before this year and the new year comes. So with that, stay tuned for another one. I have a video about the Garden of Eden that I'm working out, and I'll be continuing these lectures on Liber ABA. So, love is the law, love and your will. Have a good one.